Well, as I said, we're talking about Emmanuel. This takes us to Matthew 1:23. The last part of the verse says, "They shall call his name Emmanuel," which Matthew, writing to the Jewish people, wants to make sure they recognize the Hebrew comes from Isaiah, the Hebrew interpretation, which being interpreted is God with us. The EL on the end is God, and Im-man is with us. God, with us, God. So the Holy Spirit gives us a name for Christ that is meant to steady the mind and warm the heart. Emmanuel, God with us. Not God above us, not God against us, not God far from us, but God with us. Even during his earthly life, when he walked dusty roads, grew weary in body, he remained the omnipresent God. His promise in Matthew 18:20 is not poetry, it's reality. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. This was during his earthly ministry. So there's some part of him that couldn't be given up, couldn't be set aside. Things like this. If he was in the midst of his gathered people, then he certainly is in the midst of your private life. And this is the thing I want you to focus on tonight. He is with you in the quiet room, the long drive, the anxious moment, the unspoken thought. You may consider your thoughts fleeting, trivial, or unworthy, but they are not so to him. The God who numbers your hairs does not despise your thoughts. He listens, he attends, he cares. Learn to know him as Emmanuel, God, the God who is with you. So let me point out, first of all, the desire of your heart. The Lord uses a beautiful Hebrew word, mishalah, the thing asked, or the thing desired. Sometimes a thing is desired when it's not asked for, sometimes. So, but this word carries both of them. So it appears in 2 familiar verses, only in these 2 verses in the Old Testament. Psalm 20, verse 5, "We will rejoice in thy salvation. In the name of our God we will set up our banners. The Lord fulfill all thy petitions." Here's the word we're looking at, mishalah. Petitions, these are the things asked. Psalm 37:4, "Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart." Here's the thoughts, the things not maybe quite asked for, but desired. Both verses tie desire to delight. I want you to think about that concept. Tying desires to delight. God does not merely answer prayer, he shapes the heart that prays. He doesn't only give the request, he forms the request itself. There is something about how we ask and what we desire. Albert Barnes, I thought, developed the concept. What you really desire will be granted to you. That is, A, the fact that you seek your happiness in him will regulate your desires, so that you will be disposed to ask only those things which it will be proper for him to grant. And B, the fact that you do find your happiness in him will be a reason why he will grant your desires. And he closes by saying, the fact that a child loves his father and finds his happiness in doing his will do much to regulate his own wishes or desires, and will at the same time be a reason why the father will be disposed to comply with his requests. The second thought is, let Emmanuel become your positive focus. Think about the concept of a positive focus. Every soul seeks a positive focus, something to look toward, lean on, live for. The world chases its focus in sports and sensations, possessions, achievements, but the human heart was not designed to be satisfied by anything less than God himself. That's the full satisfying. Like the woman at the well, I was seeking things that could not satisfy. See? If you delight in him, he becomes the mishalah, the desire of your heart. He becomes the one you want most. The psalmist, I think, reached that place when he cried, "Whom have I in heaven but thee?" We listen to people talking about going to heaven, seeing the wonderful golden streets and old friends and loved ones and so on. All that's going to be true. But the thing about heaven is going to be with him. Whom have I in heaven but thee? And there is none upon earth that I desire besides thee. To get to that place where he becomes the fullness of our delight and our desire. John Gill says, there are many things on earth desirable, as riches, health, friends, food, raiment, etc., but not to be compared with God and Christ and the blessed Spirit. Not to be compared. Thirdly, making Jesus precious. And let me have you warm your heart around this thought. So how do you make Jesus precious to your heart? Well, think often of his nearness. Whisper Emmanuel when you feel alone. Speak to him freely. Your thoughts matter to him. Offer them. Think to him. Delight in his salvation. Rejoice in the great price he paid until your gratitude becomes deep affection. Set up your banners in his name. Let his presence be the rallying point of your day. Ask of him boldly. Let your desires be shaped by his goodness and granted by his love. And then treasure him above all else. Let lesser desires fall into their proper place beneath him. When Christ becomes precious, prayer becomes natural, obedience becomes joyful, and worship becomes the overflow of a satisfied heart. Let Emmanuel, God with you, be the one your soul desires most. So let him be the sweetness of your thoughts, the anchor of your emotions, the center of your affections, and the joy of your days. Emmanuel.